Good evening. Tonight's tale takes place in a small American town called Woodsboro, home to 10,000 souls, and one very ambitious secret. What begins as a quiet September evening becomes something far worse. A phone call, a mask, and the unsettling discovery that horror movies aren't always fiction. Before we proceed, a disclosure. The voices you'll hear were generated by artificial intelligence, but the story, the script, and the direction are entirely human. Technology provides the voice, but a human hand guides the terror. What follows is fictional, based on the Scream film franchise. If you haven't watched these films, stop now and do so. They're magnificent. This audio drama will still be here when you return. Any resemblance to real towns or tragic events is purely coincidental, though you may find that when we blur the line between entertainment and reality, we control very little of what we've created. And remember, the most terrifying monsters are often the ones who know the rules. Enjoy the show.
Good evening, Woodsboro. I'm Melanie Daniels, and thank you for joining us on this beautiful September evening. We've got clear skies tonight, temperatures dropping into the low 50s, perfect weather for the weekend ahead. We're going to start tonight with some good news from our own Woodsboro High School. Roger Thornhill is standing by at the campus. Roger, I understand the Cougars had quite a game tonight.
That's right, Melanie. I'm here at Woodsboro High, where the Cougars just wrapped up a dominant 42-14 victory over the Fairvale Mustangs. The student section was packed tonight. Everyone's talking about quarterback Tommy Fletcher's 4 touchdown passes. And frankly, the energy here was incredible. I spoke with Principal Arthur Himbleton earlier, and he told me the school hasn't seen this kind of spirit in years. But it's not just athletics where Woodsboro High is excelling. The debate team took first place at the regional competition last weekend, and the drama department's fall production of Our Town opens next Friday. Tickets are still available at the school office, and I'm told it's going to be a great show. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Roger. It's wonderful to see our students doing so well both on and off the field. In other local news tonight, the City Council met this evening to discuss the proposed zoning changes for the commercial district on Elm Street. After nearly 2 hours of debate, the council voted to table the decision until next month's meeting. Business owners in the area expressed concerns about increased traffic, while developers argued the changes would bring much-needed growth to downtown Woodsboro. On a more somber note, next week marks the 1-year anniversary of the Maureen Prescott murder case. Cotton Weary, who was convicted of the crime earlier this year, is still awaiting his final appeal hearing. That's scheduled for December. The Prescott family has asked the media to respect their privacy during this difficult time, and will certainly honor that request. Looking ahead to the weekend, the Woodsboro Chamber of Commerce is hosting their annual Fall Festival on Saturday. There'll be pumpkin carving contests, hay rides, local vendors, and live music from some of our talented community members. The festival runs from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. in Riverside Park. It's always a great time for families, so we hope to see you there. For all of us here at Channel 7 News, I'm Melanie Daniels. Good night, Woodsboro. Stay safe out there.
Looking for the perfect summer getaway for your kids? Crystal Lake Summer Camp has been serving families since 1957. Located just 2 hours north of Woodsboro, Crystal Lake offers swimming, canoeing, archery, and outdoor adventure. Our experienced counselors provide 24-hour supervision, ensuring your children's safety at all times. This summer, we're celebrating our reopening after extensive renovations. New cabins, updated facilities, and enhanced security measures mean Crystal Lake is safer than ever. Enroll now for our special Friday the 13th early bird discount. That's Crystal Lake Summer Camp, where memories are made and friendships last forever. Call 555-0246 for registration information.
After midnight, WKSB 103.7. This is Mitch Brenner, and if you're awake at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night, You're either working the graveyard shift or you're like me, a certified horror junkie who can't sleep without thinking about movies. It's late September, which means we're officially in spooky season territory, and I want to talk about what makes horror timeless. Why do we love being scared? What separates a classic from a cheap thrill? And most importantly, is modern horror even in the same league as the classics? I've got opinions. Trust me, but I want to hear from you. Lines are open, 55 WKSB. Let's talk monsters. All right, we've got Tommy Doyle calling from downtown. Tommy, you're on After Midnight.
Hey Mitch, long-time listener, first-time caller. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially with Halloween coming up. Why do we enjoy horror movies? Like, what's the psychology behind it?
That's a great question. I mean, we pay money to be terrified. That's objectively weird, right?
Exactly. But I think it's about control. Horror movies give us what I call safe fear. We get all the adrenaline, all the tension, but we control when it stops. We can pause the tape, turn on the lights, walk away. Real fear, real danger. You don't get that luxury.
So it's cathartic. We're processing our anxiety about mortality, about violence in a controlled environment.
Right? And there's something else. Horror movies have rules. The virgin survives. The jock who has sex dies first. Don't go in the basement. Don't say I'll be right back. There's a structure, a logic to it. Real life doesn't work that way. Real violence is random, senseless. It doesn't follow a script. But in a horror movie, there's always a reason. The killer always reveals himself, always explains why.
Huh. So horror movies are actually comforting in a weird way. They impose order on chaos.
Exactly. And the final girl trope, that's empowerment, right? Laurie Strode, Nancy Thompson. These women survive by being smart, resourceful, fighting back. That's a powerful message.
I love that. Horror is feminist cinema? Who knew? Thanks for the call, Tommy. Great way to start the night. All right, let's switch gears. I want to settle something once and for all. Halloween or Friday the 13th? Which franchise is the king of slashers? Ginny's on the line from the west side. Ginny, I'm guessing you have strong opinions about this.
Oh, Mitch, you have no idea. This debate has ruined friendships. I'm Team Friday the 13th all the way.
Interesting. Okay, make your case. Why Jason over Michael?
First of all, creativity. Jason Voorhees has the most inventive kills in slasher history. The sleeping bag against the tree, the liquid nitrogen face smash, the spear gun. Every movie ups the ante. Michael Myers just stabs people. It's effective, sure, but it gets repetitive.
Okay, but Halloween isn't about the kills. It's about atmosphere. John Carpenter's direction, that Steadicam work, the way Michael just appears in the background. And that score, Ginny, that iconic piano theme, it's minimalist perfection.
I'll give you the music, but here's the thing. Michael Myers is supposed to be pure evil, right? No motive, no reason, just the shape. But that makes him boring. Jason has a story. His mother's revenge in the first film, then he comes back because he drowned as a child. There's tragedy there. And Betsy Palmer as Mrs. Voorhees, that performance is chilling.
But doesn't the lack of motive make Michael scarier? You can't reason with him. You can't understand him. He's a force of nature. That's terrifying.
Jason's a force of nature too. The difference is setting. Camp Crystal Lake is this nostalgic summer camp vibe, and then it becomes a killing ground. Whereas Halloween is suburban streets. Both are scary, but the camp isolation, being surrounded by woods with no escape, that hits different.
Fair point. What about the final girls? Laurie Strode versus who? Ginny Field in part 2.
Okay, you got me. Laurie Strode is the blueprint. Jamie Lee Curtis defined the final girl. But Ginny in part 2 holds her own. She uses child psychology against Jason, pretends to be his mother. That's brilliant.
All right, I'm going to say something controversial. Both franchises peaked early and then got progressively sillier. Halloween 3 doesn't even have Michael Myers. Friday the 13th goes to Manhattan. Then eventually Jason goes to space. They jump the shark.
Oh, completely. But the first few in each franchise? Untouchable. And here's something else. The phone call trope, Black Christmas did it first in '74, but Friday the 13th made it iconic. The calls coming from inside the house, the killer watching you, that's nightmare fuel.
Black Christmas is so underrated. Bob Clark directed that, and nobody talks about it. But yeah, the phone calls are terrifying because they mean the killer is close. He's watching, he knows you. All right, Ginny, I'm calling this debate a draw. Both franchises are essential. Thanks for calling in.
Anytime, Mitch. Team Jason forever.
All right, let's go old school now. I've got Lawrence on the line, and I'm told he wants to talk Hitchcock and classic Universal horror. Lawrence, you're on the air.
Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate you taking the time to discuss real horror, not these modern slasher films with their hockey masks and summer camps.
Oh boy, Ginny's gonna love you. Go ahead, Lawrence. Tell me why the old stuff is better.
Because it understood suspense. Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, he knew the difference between shock and dread. Shock is the knife coming out of nowhere. Dread is knowing the knife is there and waiting for it to strike. Modern horror relies on jump scares, cheap thrills. Hitchcock built tension over 2 hours and made you feel every second.
Psycho is a perfect example. That shower scene changed cinema forever.
Not just the shower scene. Though yes, killing Janet Leigh 30 minutes into the film, that was unprecedented. But the whole structure of that movie, the way Hitchcock makes you sympathize with Norman Bates, the conversation in the parlor with the stuffed birds, the mother in the window, and Bernard Herrmann's score, those shrieking violins. It's operatic.
What about his other films? Rear Window, Rope, Strangers on a Train?
All masterpieces. Rear Window makes the audience complicit. We're voyeurs watching James Stewart be a voyeur. Rope is a technical marvel, filmed in real time with hidden cuts. And Strangers on a Train, the crisscross murder plot, that's diabolical. Bruno Anthony is one of cinema's great villains. Charming, theatrical, completely insane.
The carousel scene at the end, incredible.
Hitchcock understood that what you don't show is scarier than what you do. Which brings me to The Haunting.
Oh man, The Haunting. Robert Wise, 1963. That's my favorite ghost story ever put to film.
Mine as well. And it proves my point perfectly. There are no ghosts in that film. Not one. You never see anything supernatural. But Hill House itself is the haunting. The architecture, the angles, the way the camera moves through those hallways, the breathing walls, the pounding on the door, Eleanor holding Theodora's hand in the dark, and then realizing Theo is across the room.
That scene makes my skin crawl every time. And the ambiguity. You never know if it's really haunted or if Eleanor's losing her mind.
Exactly. Shirley Jackson's novel is a masterpiece of psychological horror, and Robert Wise adapted it perfectly. Compare that to modern ghost stories. Everything is explained. You see the ghosts, you learn their backstory. There's no mystery left. The Haunting trusts its audience to be intelligent. It doesn't spoon-feed you.
What about the Universal monster movies? Dracula, Frankenstein, The Wolfman?
Those films understood something modern horror has forgotten. Monsters can be tragic. Frankenstein's monster isn't evil. He's abandoned by his creator, rejected by society, desperate for love. He's sympathetic. The Wolfman, Larry Talbot, he's cursed. He doesn't want to kill. He begs to die so he won't hurt anyone else. That's heartbreaking.
Lon Chaney Jr. in that role. The transformation scenes.
And Boris Karloff as the monster. The scene with the little girl by the lake. You feel for him. Bela Lugosi as Dracula. That accent, that presence. These weren't just killers. They were characters with depth. Modern slashers. They're just killing machines. No tragedy, no pathos.
So what happened? Why do we lose that?
We stopped trusting atmosphere. Val Lewton understood this in the 1940s. Cat People, the seventh victim. He worked with tiny budgets, so he couldn't show the monster, and that made the film scarier. The pool scene in Cat People. Nothing happens, but you're terrified. That's craft, that's artistry.
I think there's still good horror being made. But I agree. We've traded suspense for gore.
And here's my final point. In the old films, you knew who the monster was. Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy. They weren't hiding. The horror came from trying to stop them. Nowadays, everyone's a suspect. Every slasher has a mystery. Who's behind the mask? But that's not real life. Real killers don't play games like that. They don't hide in plain sight, taunting people, leaving clues. It's fantasy.
Lawrence, that's a fascinating perspective. Thank you for calling. You've given me a lot to think about.
My pleasure, Mitch. Keep fighting the good fight for real horror.
I'll do my best. All right, Woodsboro, that's all the time we have tonight. 3 callers, 3 very different takes on what makes horror work. Tommy talking about the psychology of fear, Ginny defending slashers with passion, and Lawrence reminding us that the classics are classic for a reason. I'll leave you with this thought. Horror movies, at their best, are about facing our fears in a safe space. They remind us that evil exists, but also that we can survive it. We can fight back, we can outsmart the monster, and when the credits roll, we turn off the TV and go back to our normal lives. Because here's the thing. Horror movies are fun because they're not real. Real life doesn't work like a slasher film. Real killers don't call you on the phone to discuss their favorite scary movies. They don't follow rules. They don't give you a chance to be a final girl. Real violence is ugly and random and nothing like the movies. So enjoy the scares, Woodsboro. Rent some classics this weekend. Watch Halloween with the lights off. Appreciate the craft. But remember, it's just fiction. Our biggest fear tonight is running out of coffee and having to go to bed. And honestly, that's a pretty good problem to have. Next week, we'll tackle science fiction horror. Alien, The Thing, The Fly, the classics. Until then, this is Mitch Brenner signing off from After Midnight. Sleep well, Woodsboro. You're safe. It's just movies. Good night.
Adventure awaits at Burkittsville Outdoor Adventures. Join us for guided hiking tours through Maryland's most beautiful wilderness areas. Our experienced guides will lead you through pristine forests, past historic landmarks, and to breathtaking scenic overlooks. Perfect for families, scout troops, or anyone seeking to reconnect with nature. We provide all equipment, including compasses, maps, and emergency supplies. Our most popular tour is the Black Hills Weekend Camping Experience, featuring 2 nights under the stars. Book your adventure today at 555 Stick Figure, Burkittsville Outdoor Adventures, operating since 1999. Come get lost in nature with us.
We interrupt our regular programming with breaking news from Woodsboro. I'm Melanie Daniels, and we're getting reports of a double homicide on Mill Creek Road. 2 teenagers have been found dead at a residence, and authorities are calling this a brutal crime scene. The victims have been identified as 17-year-old Casey Becker and 18-year-old Steve Orth, both students at Woodsboro High School. Roger Thornhill is live at the scene. Roger, what can you tell us?
Melanie, I'm standing about 100 yards from the Becker residence, as close as police are letting anyone get right now. What we know is that Casey Becker's parents returned home around midnight to find their daughter's body on the front lawn. Steve Orth's body was discovered in the backyard, and I'm told he was bound to a patio chair. Both victims suffered multiple stab wounds, and authorities are describing the scene as, quote, disturbing and violent. Neighbors I've spoken with say they heard screaming around 11 p.m., but most assumed it was teenagers watching a horror movie. One neighbor told me, and I'm quoting here, "We heard someone scream, but we didn't think anything of it. Kids watch scary movies all the time." Police arrived within minutes of the parents' 911 call, but by then it was too late. I can see at least 8 patrol cars behind me, multiple evidence technicians, and the county coroner's van just arrived about 20 minutes ago. This is an active crime scene, and investigators are still processing evidence. They're examining phone records, looking at the timeline, trying to piece together what happened here tonight. Back to you in the studio.
Roger, have police said anything about a possible suspect or motive?
Not yet, Melanie. What I can tell you is that Detective Alicia Huberman is leading the investigation, and she's expected to make a statement within the hour. But from what I'm hearing from sources close to the investigation, this wasn't random. The killer knew these victims.
All right, stay there, Roger. We'll come back to you as soon as we have more information. We're going to go now to Detective Alicia Huberman, who's prepared to make a brief statement.
Thank you. At approximately 12:03 a.m. this morning, Officers responded to a 911 call at the Becker residence on Mill Creek Road. Upon arrival, they discovered two deceased individuals, later identified as Casey Becker and Steve Orth. Both victims were pronounced dead at the scene. This is an active homicide investigation. We're asking anyone who may have seen or heard anything suspicious in the Mill Creek Road area between 10 p.m. and midnight to contact the Sheriff's Department immediately. We're examining all physical evidence, interviewing potential witnesses, and following every lead. I want to assure the community that we're doing everything in our power to find whoever's responsible for this tragedy. Now, I know there are questions about whether this is connected to any previous cases. At this time, we're treating this as an isolated incident, but we're not ruling anything out. We're asking residents to remain vigilant, lock their doors, and report any suspicious activity. That's all I can share right now.
That was Detective Alicia Huberman with the Woodsboro Sheriff's Department. For those just joining us, two Woodsboro High School students, Casey Becker and Steve Orth, were found murdered early this morning. This is the first homicide in Woodsboro since the Maureen Prescott case 1 year ago. Cotton Weary was convicted and is currently serving time for that murder. Woodsboro High School will be closed tomorrow as counselors are brought in to help students and faculty process this tragedy. A community vigil is being organized for tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. in Riverside Park. The principal, Arthur Himbleton, released a statement saying, quote, "Our hearts are broken. Casey and Steve were bright, promising students with their whole lives ahead of them. We're asking the community to come together and support one another during this unimaginable time. Both families have asked for privacy, and we'll respect that." If you have any information about this crime, please call the Sheriff's Department tip line. The number is 555-0101. Woodsboro mourns tonight. We'll continue our coverage throughout the evening and bring you updates as they become available. For Channel 7 News, I'm Melanie Daniels.
Hungry? Come on down to Sawyer's Texas BBQ on Route 74. We're serving up authentic Texas-style barbecue that'll have you coming back for more. Our secret family recipes have been passed down for generations. Slow smoked to perfection over hickory wood. Try our famous beef brisket, fall-off-the-bone ribs, or our award-winning pulled pork. This weekend only, families eat for half price. That's right. Bring the whole family to Sawyer's and save big. We're open Friday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Find us on Route 74, just past the old gas station, Sawyer's Texas BBQ, where meat is our specialty.
You're listening to After Midnight on WKSB 103.7 FM. This is Mitch Brenner, and I wish I could start the show the way I usually do, but tonight isn't usual. Nothing about tonight is usual. By now, most of you have heard about Casey Becker and Steve Orth, two kids from our town, murdered in Casey's home last night. I knew Casey, not well, but I knew her. She came into the radio station last year for a school project, interviewed me about being a DJ. She was smart, funny, full of life, and now she's gone. I'm not going to pretend I know what to say right now. I don't think anyone does, but I know a lot of you can't sleep tonight, and honestly, neither can I. So I'm opening up the phone lines. If you need to talk, if you need to grieve, if you need to share memories of Casey or Steve, this is a safe place to do it. The number is 555-WKSB. That's 555-9572. Let's go to our first caller. This is Lisa from downtown. Lisa, you're on the air.
Mitch, thank you for doing this tonight. I didn't know where else to turn. My daughter's a junior at Woodsboro High, and she was friends with Casey. They had English class together. She called me crying tonight, just sobbing, asking me how something like this could happen. And Mitch, I didn't have an answer for her. How am I supposed to explain this?
Lisa, I'm so sorry. I don't think there is an explanation that makes sense. Violence like this, it doesn't follow logic.
She keeps asking if she's safe. If whoever did this is going to come after her friends, and I told her she's safe. But Mitch, I don't know if that's true. This is supposed to be a safe town. We moved here because it was safe. That's what everyone said after. You know, after the Prescott thing last year. They said it was isolated. It wouldn't happen again. But it did happen again.
You're doing the right thing by being there for your daughter. Keep her close, let her grieve with her friends, and don't be afraid to talk to the school counselors tomorrow. They're bringing people in specifically for this. As for safety, lock your doors, keep your phone nearby, and trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is.
Thank you, Mitch. I needed to hear someone else say they don't understand it either.
We're all trying to make sense of the senseless tonight, Lisa. Take care of yourself and your daughter. Let's go to our next caller, Mark from the West Side. You're on After Midnight.
Hey, Mitch. Listen, I know this is going to sound insensitive, but I think we need to talk about the pattern here.
The pattern?
I'm a true crime guy, right? I read about this stuff. And what happened to Casey and Steve? It follows a very specific script. The news said police are examining phone records. That means there were phone calls before the attack. That's not random, Mitch. That's deliberate. That's someone who's seen too many horror movies.
You think this is, what? Some kind of copycat killing?
I think whoever did this knows exactly what they're doing. Phone calls are the signature. You call the victim, you engage them in conversation, you scare them, then you attack. It's textbook slasher film methodology. And here's the thing. Casey was found outside. Steve was tied up in the backyard. That's theatrical. That's someone staging a scene.
Mark, I appreciate you calling in, but I'm not sure speculating about the killer's methodology is helpful right now.
I'm just saying, this wasn't random. The detective said as much. They knew the victims. And if I'm right, if this person is following some kind of script, then Casey and Steve might not be the only targets. We need to take this seriously.
I think everyone in Woodsboro is taking this very seriously, Mark. But you're right about one thing. This wasn't random. All right, let's take another call. Norman, you're calling from the highway. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah. Hi, Mitch. I work the night shift at the Bates Motel out on Route 9. And I gotta tell you, I'm scared out of my mind right now. I'm alone here. It's 2 a.m, and every time I hear a car pull into the lot, my heart just about stops.
Norman, are you saying you're thinking about closing up early tonight?
I don't know what to do. My mother, who owns the place, said I gotta stay open. But Mitch, I keep looking out the window expecting to see someone in a mask or, I don't know. That caller before me, the one talking about patterns and scripts, he's got me thinking. What if this isn't over? What if whoever did this is still out there looking for, I don't know, looking for someone else?
Norman, listen to me. If you don't feel safe, you close up and you go home. Job or no job, your safety comes first. Trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Lock the office, get in your car, and go home to your family.
Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna do that. Thanks, Mitch.
Stay safe out there, Norman. All right, we're gonna take a short break, but keep those calls coming. 555 WKSB. We're all processing this together tonight. When we come back, I want to talk about grief, about how a community heals when something like this happens. You're listening to After Midnight. I'm Mitch Brenner, and we're here for you, Woodsboro.
Step back in time at Hill House, New England's most fascinating architectural landmark. Built by Hugh Crane in the 1870s, this magnificent Victorian estate has stood for over 80 years and will stand for 80 more. Tour the grand spiral staircases, explore rooms filled with original period furnishings, and marvel at the unique angles and innovative design that made Crane a legend. Our knowledgeable guides share the house's rich history every Saturday and Sunday from noon to 4 p.m. Special evening tours available by appointment. Some guests report unusual cold spots and fascinating acoustic phenomena. Hill House is located on Mountain Road, just outside Hillsdale. Call 555-NO-SANE for reservations. Hill House, where silence lies steadily against the wood and stone.
Welcome back to After Midnight. Before the break, we were talking about the murders of Casey Becker and Steve Orth. Two bright kids with their whole lives ahead of them. taken from us in an act of senseless violence. And I keep thinking about what one of our callers said. This is supposed to be a safe town. We all moved here, or we stayed here, because Woodsboro is the kind of place where you know your neighbors, where you leave your doors unlocked, where kids ride their bikes until the streetlights come on. But maybe that's an illusion. Maybe it's always been an illusion. A year ago, Maureen Prescott was murdered in her own home. Cotton Weary is sitting in prison for that crime, and we all told ourselves it was over. One bad thing happened, the person responsible was caught, and now we could go back to normal. But normal doesn't exist anymore. Not after tonight. I want to read something to you. This is from the community vigil announcement that Principal Hamilton sent out earlier tonight. He wrote, "In times of darkness, we find light in one another. Casey and Steve were loved by so many people, and their memories will live on in every life they touched. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in Riverside Park, there's going to be a vigil. If you knew Casey or Steve, if you're hurting tonight, if you need to be around people who understand, please go. Grief is not something we should carry alone." This is Mitch Brenner on After Midnight. If you're out there, lock your doors, check on your neighbors. Hold your loved ones a little closer tonight. And if you see something, if you hear something, call the sheriff's department. Don't assume someone else will do it. Woodsboro, we're going to get through this together. Stay safe out there. I'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same station. This is Mitch Brenner signing off. Good night, Woodsboro.
Attention parents. The holidays are coming, and Good Guys Toy Emporium has the hottest toys of the season. From action figures to dolls, board games to building sets, we have everything your child dreams of. This month, we're featuring our exclusive My Best Friend collection, realistic talking dolls that become your child's perfect companion. They laugh, they play, they even learn your child's name. Plus, trade in your old toys for store credit toward new ones. Good Guys Toy Emporium is located in Woodsboro Plaza, next to the food court. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sundays noon to 6 p.m. Good Guys Toy Emporium, where childhood magic comes alive.
Wake up, Woodsboro! Wake up! The CIA just killed Casey Becker, and you're all sitting there like it's normal. You heard me right. The Central Intelligence Agency, in cooperation with Hollywood studios, pharmaceutical corporations, and occult practitioners, just executed a 17-year-old girl in your town as a beta test for nationwide psychological warfare. And the mainstream media is calling it a random murder. Let me break this down because nobody else will. Operation MK Ultra never ended. It just got rebranded. In the 1950s, they used LSD and electroshock. In the 90s, they used horror movies and prescription drugs. Why do you think every kid in Woodsboro High is on Ritalin or Prozac? Why do you think slasher films are the #1 genre at the box office? It's not a coincidence. It's a coordinated program. They drug the children to make them suggestible. Then they show them films with embedded frequencies in the soundtrack. Frequencies that trigger dormant programming. And that mask. You think that's random? Edward Munch's The Scream, painted in 1893. That face represents existential terror. The CIA studied tribal masks in Africa in the 60s. Psychological warfare through imagery. That mask is a sigil, an occult symbol. When you see it, something in your brain activates. Let's talk about the method. Phone call before the murder. Where have we seen that? Black Christmas 1974. When a stranger calls 1979. This isn't locking. This is executing the program. They put the instructions in the movies, then they activate the agents. And Blockbuster Video, nationwide chain with centralized rental data. They track who rents what films and when. Casey Becker's family probably rented Friday the 13th or Halloween 2 weeks ago. The video stores reported every horror rental is logged in a database. They're building profiles, finding the susceptible ones. Wes Craven, John Carpenter. You think they're just filmmakers? A Nightmare on Elm Street. Halloween, The Hills Have Eyes. That's not entertainment. That's training material. Every film includes specific trigger sequences. The masked killer, the phone call, the isolated victim. It's a protocol. And here's what they don't want you to know. Woodsboro isn't random. This town was selected. Look at the geography. 30 miles from a military base. 15 miles from a former government facility. Small town, isolated, perfect test site. School just started in September. Fresh minds back in the system. Maximum exposure. Kids watching the same horror films. Talking about the murders. Programming each other. It's peer-to-peer activation. And let me tell you what's coming next. They'll target the final girl. That's the protocol. The virgin, the innocent one. It's all in the script. Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. There's always a final girl. They're conditioning the next generation through trauma. Who benefits from a culture of fear? Media corporations. Ratings skyrocket during tragedy. Hollywood horror franchises make more money after real-world violence. The government. People beg for more security, more control, more surveillance. This isn't about one killer in Woodsboro. This is phase 1 of a nationwide rollout. If it works here, they go everywhere. By next Halloween, every town in America will have a mass killer. And when the body count gets high enough, martial law, gun confiscation, total control. Wake up, people. Turn off your television. Stop renting their programming. Stop giving Big Pharma your children. They're not making movies. They're conducting mass rituals. Blood sacrifice on screen equals blood sacrifice in reality. Casey Becker was murdered by the Hollywood occult elite. And Woodsboro is just the beginning. They've told us what they're going to do. It's revelation of the method. They're mocking us. This is Harry Lime telling you the truth they don't want you to hear. Protect your children. Destroy your horror film collection. And whatever you do, don't answer the phone. They're watching. They're listening. And the protocol has already begun.
Discover the art of miniatures at Lee's Miniature World, Woodsboro's premier shop for dollhouse enthusiasts and scale model collectors. Owners specializing in custom dioramas can help you recreate any scene from your life with stunning accuracy and detail. We carry everything from tiny furniture to miniature trees, perfect for preserving your most important memories in exquisite detail. New this month, we're offering grief therapy through art workshops. Create healing spaces, process loss through creative expression, and join our supportive community of artists who understand. Classes meet Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Visit Lee's Miniature World on Crown Avenue, open Monday through Saturday. Call 555-PAYMON. Lee's Miniature World, where every moment lives forever in perfect miniature.
Good evening. I'm Melanie Daniels, and we're continuing our coverage of what has become a rapidly escalating crisis in Woodsboro. Late last night, 17-year-old Sidney Prescott was attacked in her home by an assailant wearing a mask and dark robe. Sidney survived the attack and is being treated for minor injuries. Her boyfriend, Billy Loomis, was briefly detained for questioning but has since been released. This marks the third attack in 2 days, and authorities are now investigating whether these incidents are connected. Roger Thornhill is live outside Woodsboro High School. Roger, what's the scene there?
Melanie, the word that keeps coming up is surreal. Behind me, you can see at least a dozen police vehicles in the parking lot. There are officers stationed at every entrance. Metal detectors have been set up at the main doors, and parents are being asked to show identification before picking up their children. School did reopen today after yesterday's closure, but attendance is down by almost 40%. A lot of families are keeping their kids home. Principal Arthur Hambleton addressed students in an emergency assembly this morning. He urged calm, reminded everyone that counselors are available, and asked students to report anything suspicious. But Melanie, I've been talking to students throughout the day, and the fear here is palpable. One junior told me, quote, "We don't feel safe anywhere anymore. Not at home, not at school, nowhere."
Roger, what more can you tell us about the attack on Sidney Prescott?
Details are still limited, but here's what we know. Sidney was home alone when she received a phone call from an unknown number. According to sources close to the investigation, the caller engaged her in conversation before revealing he could see her. Shortly after, an intruder wearing what was described as a white ghost-like mask and black robe forced entry into the home. Sidney managed to evade the attacker and call 911 from her computer. Billy Loomis, Sidney's boyfriend, arrived at the scene during the incident. He was found in the area with what appeared to be a cell phone capable of voice alteration, and police detained him for questioning. He was released early this morning after his alibi checked out. But Melanie, I have to say, the fact that Billy was released doesn't seem to have eased anyone's suspicions. Students I spoke with today are questioning everyone.
Thank you, Roger. We're going to go now to Detective Elisa Huberman for an update on the investigation. Detective, can you confirm these attacks are related?
We're treating all three incidents as potentially connected. The attack on Sidney Prescott shares characteristics with the murders of Casey Becker and Steve Orth. In both cases, victims received phone calls prior to the physical attack. In the attack on Sidney, the attacker wore a distinctive costume, a white mask with what's been described as a screaming or ghostly face, along with a black robe. We're asking anyone who may have purchased this type of costume in the past month to contact us immediately. We're also working with local retailers to identify recent sales. This mask appears to be commercially available, likely sold as a Halloween costume, which complicates our investigation given the time of year. Regarding Billy Loomis, he was questioned and released. At this time, he is not a suspect. We're pursuing multiple leads, and I want to assure the community we're devoting every available resource to this investigation.
Detective Sidney Prescott is the daughter of Maureen Prescott, who was murdered 1 year ago. Cotton Weary is currently serving time for that crime. Do you believe there's a connection between Maureen's murder and these current attacks?
That's a question we're actively exploring. The timing with these attacks occurring near the 1 year anniversary of Maureen Prescott's death is something we cannot ignore. However, I want to be clear, Cotton Weary has been incarcerated for the past 8 months and has been definitively ruled out as a suspect in the current attacks. We're looking at all possibilities. This could be someone with a personal connection to the victims. This could be someone with knowledge of the Prescott case. What I can tell you with certainty is that this individual is dangerous, organized, and willing to kill. We're asking all residents to take precautions.
What precautions should people be taking?
Lock all doors and windows, even during the day. Don't open your door for anyone you don't recognize. If you receive a suspicious phone call, hang up immediately and contact us. Don't engage in conversation with unknown callers. Travel in groups when possible, especially after dark. And most importantly, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, call 911. We'd rather respond to a false alarm than arrive too late.
Thank you, Detective. That was Detective Alicia Huberman with the Woodsboro Sheriff's Department. In related news, national media outlets have begun descending on Woodsboro. Several news vans from major networks arrived this afternoon, and at least one tabloid journalism program is setting up operations in town. Local officials have expressed frustration with what they're calling sensationalized coverage that's creating additional panic. Sidney Prescott's father, Neil Prescott, is reportedly out of town on business and has been unreachable since the attack on his daughter. Authorities are attempting to locate him to inform him of the situation. His absence has raised questions, though police emphasize he is not currently considered a suspect. We've also learned that several students reported seeing someone in a similar costume on campus today, though when security investigated, no one was found. It's unclear whether this was the actual attacker or, as some have suggested, a student making a very poor decision given current circumstances. Woodsboro remains on edge tonight. The Sheriff's Department has increased patrols throughout residential neighborhoods, and there's talk of implementing a voluntary curfew. We'll continue to bring you updates as this situation develops. For Channel 7 News, I'm Melanie Daniels. Stay vigilant, Woodsboro. Stay safe.
St. Kinderman's Parish invites you to join us for services this Sunday at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Father Karras will deliver a special sermon on faith in troubled times, offering guidance and comfort to our community. We also offer confession on Saturdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., and our youth ministry program meets Wednesday evenings. In these difficult days, many are seeking spiritual answers. St. Kinderman's has served Woodsboro for over 70 years, providing a welcoming home for all who seek peace and understanding. Visit us at the corner of Georgetown Avenue and Prospect Street. St. Kinderman's Parish, where all souls find sanctuary. Everyone is welcome.
After midnight, WKSB 103.7. This is Mitch Brenner, and we're back for night 2 of what I'm starting to think of as the longest week of my life. Sidney Prescott was attacked in her home last night. She's alive. Thank God, but she's the third victim in as many days. Casey and Steve are dead. Sidney survived. And somewhere out there, someone in a mask is still walking around. I don't have any easy answers tonight. I don't have any answers at all, really. But the phones are open. Same as always, 555 WKSB. Let's start with Judy from Oak Street. Judy, you're on the air.
Mitch, I've lived in this town for 52 years. 52 years. I raised 3 children here. I buried my husband here. And I'm telling you right now, Woodsboro isn't the same place it was even a week ago. Something's broken.
I think a lot of people feel that way, Judy.
When I was younger, you could leave your doors unlocked at night. You could let your children play in the street until it got dark. And the only thing you worried about was them scraping their knees. But that was before Maureen Prescott. That poor woman was murdered in her own bed, and we all told ourselves it was a one-time thing. Cotton Weary did it. He's locked up. Problem solved. But it wasn't solved, Mitch. Now Casey Becker is dead. That sweet girl who used to babysit for half the families on my street. And Sidney Prescott, Maureen's daughter, she's being hunted by the same kind of evil that took her mother. How is that child supposed to survive this?
Sidney's strong, Judy. She fought back last night. She got away.
For now. But Mitch, I see patterns. I've lived long enough to see patterns. This thing, whatever it is, it's circling that family. First the mother, now the daughter. And I keep thinking, what if we were wrong? What if Cotton Weary didn't kill Maureen? What if the real killer has been walking around this whole time, and now he's come back to finish what he started?
That's a terrifying thought, Judy.
It is. But someone needs to say it out loud. We locked up the wrong man, and now innocent people are dying. That's what I think. And I'm not the only one.
All right, Judy, thank you for calling. Let's go to Sam, calling from the hardware store. Sam, what's on your mind?
Yeah, Mitch. I've been at the store all day, and I'm sold out of deadbolts, sold out of chains, sold out of security lights. People are coming in scared out of their minds, and honestly, I can't blame them. But here's what I want to say. The police can't protect everyone. They just can't. You've got maybe 20 officers trying to cover the whole town, and this guy, whoever he is, he's already proven he can get to people in their own homes.
So what are you suggesting?
I'm saying people need to protect themselves. Lock your doors? Sure, but don't stop there. Keep a bat by your bed. Keep your phone charged. If you've got a weapon and you know how to use it, now's the time to make sure it's accessible. I'm not saying go out and play vigilante, but I am saying don't wait for someone else to save you.
Sam, I appreciate what you're saying, but I've got to be careful here. I can't tell people to arm themselves on the radio.
Why not? Someone broke into Sidney Prescott's house with a knife. If she'd had a way to defend herself, maybe she wouldn't have had to run. Look, I'm not trying to start a panic, I'm just being practical. This isn't going to stop because we all locked our doors and hoped for the best.
All right, Sam. I hear you. And I think a lot of people listening tonight probably agree with you. But let's be clear. The best thing anyone can do is call the police if they see something suspicious. Don't try to be a hero. Let's take another call. This is, caller, you're on the air. Who am I speaking with?
Hello, Mitch. Do you like scary movies?
Excuse me?
It's a simple question. Do you like scary movies? You seem like the type. Late night radio, spooky stories, all that atmosphere. I bet you've seen them all. Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay, buddy, real funny. If this is your idea of a prank, it's not the time.
Oh, I'm not pranking you, Mitch. I'm a fan. I listen to your show every night. I especially liked your caller, Sam. Very practical advice. People should protect themselves. But here's the thing, Mitch. Locks don't keep me out. Bats don't scare me. And the police? Well, they're always one step behind, aren't they?
Who is this?
I'm someone who's been watching. Someone who's been listening. Your callers tonight, they're scared. I can hear it in their voices. Judy thinks we locked up the wrong man. She's not wrong. You know, Cotton Weary is innocent. But knowing that doesn't help her, does it? It doesn't help anyone.
Look, I don't know what kind of sick joke this is.
It's not a joke, Mitch. It's a game. And I'm winning. Your town is terrified. People are buying locks they don't need. Staying up all night, jumping at every sound. That's the fun part. The fear, the anticipation. Not knowing when I'll call. Not knowing when I'll knock on the door.
If you're who you're pretending to be.
I'm not pretending, Mitch. I'm the real thing. And I'll prove it to you. Tell your listeners to pay attention to the news. Something's going to happen. Something big. And when it does, You'll know I'm not some kid with a voice changer. You'll know I'm exactly who I say I am.
Hello? Hello? All right. Folks, I need to take a breath here. That was probably just some kid trying to freak us out, some idiot with too much time on his hands. But I'm going to call the sheriff's department anyway. I'm going to report this, because if there's even a chance that was real, if there's even a 1% chance, look, I don't want to add to the fear tonight. I really don't. But if you're out there listening, if you're home alone, lock your doors. Don't answer calls from numbers you don't recognize. And if something feels wrong, if you get a call like that, hang up and dial 911 immediately. I'm gonna step away for a minute. We're gonna cut to some music, and when I come back, I'll let you know what the police said. Stay with me, Woodsboro. This is After Midnight. I'm Mitch Brenner, and I'm really hoping that was just a prank.
Need home renovations? Kramer Contractors and Design specializes in custom bathrooms, basements, and total home makeovers. Owner John Kramer brings 30 years of experience to every project, personally overseeing each job from start to finish. We don't just build rooms, we create experiences tailored specifically to you. Our unique approach means every client gets exactly what they deserve. We'll design puzzles, air spaces that challenge your expectations and transform your home. Free consultations available. We work with any budget and guarantee you'll appreciate our attention to detail. Call 555-JIGSAW today. Kramer Contractors and Design. Where we want to play, we mean where we want to help with your next project. Licensed and insured.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning with heavy hearts and trembling hands. We come before you seeking comfort, seeking answers, seeking protection from the evil that walks among us. We ask that you hold Casey Becker and Steve Orth in your eternal embrace, that you comfort their families in this time of unspeakable grief, and that you guide us through this valley of shadow and death. In Jesus' name, amen. Brothers and sisters, I want to read to you from Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. And then it says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. We are in that valley right now, Woodsboro. We are walking through the shadow of death. Casey Becker sat in the third pew every Sunday with her mother and father. We baptized that child in this very church when she was 8 years old. I watched her grow from a shy little girl into a bright, beautiful young woman with her whole life ahead of her, and now she's gone. Taken from us by an act of violence so senseless, so cruel, that it defies understanding. Steve Orth wasn't a member of our congregation, but he was one of ours nonetheless. He was a son of this community. And Sidney Prescott, Maureen's daughter, that poor child has now faced evil twice in her young life. First her mother, now this. How much can one family endure? How much suffering must we witness before we cry out to God and demand answers? But I want to tell you something this morning. The Bible promises us that God is with us in the valley, not that He'll remove us from it, not that He'll make the path easy, but that He'll walk beside us. And that has to be enough, because right now, in this moment, it's all we have. Now I want to talk about the evil among us. And make no mistake, this is evil, not mental illness, not a troubled soul crying out for help. Evil. The Bible tells us in John 10, verse 10, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. That is what we're facing. A thief of life, a destroyer of innocence. And he hides his face because evil cannot stand in God's light. This killer, whoever he is, wears a mask. He covers his face because he knows deep in whatever's left of his soul that his deeds are wicked. He's a coward. He calls people on the phone, plays his sick games, terrorizes them before he strikes. That's not strength. That's the behavior of someone who's given himself over to darkness completely. And I'm going to say something that might make some of you uncomfortable. That killer could be sitting in this church right now. He could be in the pew behind you, beside you. He could be someone you know, someone you trust, someone who smiles at you in the grocery store. Because evil doesn't announce itself. Evil disguises itself. It walks among us wearing the face of normalcy. Jesus warned us about this. Matthew 7:15. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. This killer is a wolf, and we're the sheep. But we don't have to be helpless sheep. We don't have to be victims. Some of you are thinking right now, why is God allowing this? If God is good, if God is all-powerful, why doesn't he stop this madness? And I don't have a perfect answer for you. I wish I did. What I can tell you is that we live in a fallen world. Sin entered this world in the Garden of Eden, and it's been poisoning us ever since. God gave us free will, and some people use that free will to commit unspeakable acts. But listen to me carefully. We thought the darkness had passed when they locked up Cotton Weary. We thought Maureen Prescott's murder was solved, justice was served, and we could all go back to our lives. But violence begets violence, sin begets sin, and now we're forced to ask ourselves, were we wrong? Did we imprison an innocent man while the real killer walked free? That's a heavy question. That's a question that should haunt us. If we got it wrong, if Cotton Weary is innocent, then we as a community bear some responsibility for what's happening now. We were so quick to believe the worst, so eager to have someone to blame. And maybe, just maybe, the real monster was laughing at us the whole time. Now, some of you are scared. You should be. Fear is a natural response to danger. But I'm here to tell you that fear alone won't save you. You need faith, yes, but you also need action. God helps those who help themselves. And right now, that means protecting one another. Lock your doors. Check on your neighbors. Travel in groups. Don't open your door for strangers. And for God's sake, don't answer the serpent's call. That's what those phone calls are, brothers and sisters. The serpent in the garden, whispering temptations, luring you into conversation. Eve listened to the serpent, and it brought death into the world. Don't make the same mistake. If you receive a call from someone you don't know, hang up. Don't engage, don't be curious, don't think you can outsmart evil. You can't. Only God can stand against true evil and win. Our job is to survive long enough for justice to be done. And make no mistake, justice will be done. Psalm 9:16 says, "The Lord is known by his justice, the wicked are ensnared by the work of their hands." This killer, this coward, hiding behind a mask, he will be caught. His deeds will come to light. And when they do, he'll face earthly justice, and after that, he'll face God's judgment. And that, brothers and sisters, that is a reckoning I would not want to face. So what do we do now? We mourn, we grieve, we hold one another up. We refuse to let fear drive us from our homes, from our faith, from our community. The killer wants us to turn on each other. He wants us to suspect our neighbors, to isolate ourselves, to live in terror. We will not give him that victory. We will not surrender our humanity to his evil. Tonight, many of you will go home and lock your doors. You'll check the windows twice. You'll jump at every sound, and that's okay. That's survival. But don't let fear be the only thing you feel. Feel righteous anger. Feel determination. Feel the strength that comes from knowing you're not alone in this fight. God is with us in the valley. The police are working day and night. Our community is coming together, and we will get through this. not unscathed, not unchanged, but we will get through this. Let me close with this. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." This is a spiritual battle, brothers and sisters, and we're going to need every weapon in our arsenal. Faith, hope, love, and yes, good old-fashioned common sense. Go home today. Hug your children. Tell your loved ones you love them. Lock your doors. Say your prayers. And trust that God hasn't abandoned us. He's carrying us through this valley. And when we reach the other side, when this nightmare is over, we'll be stronger for having survived it. May God bless this town. May God protect the innocent. May God bring the wicked to justice. And may God have mercy on us all. Amen.
Need a place to stay on your way through California? Stop at Bates Roadside Inn on Highway 99. We offer clean, comfortable rooms at prices you can afford. Each room features a private bath, clean showers, color television, and complimentary breakfast. Owner Norman Bates takes personal pride in maintaining our property and ensuring every guest feels at home. We're just 12 miles off the interstate, perfect for travelers seeking a quiet, peaceful night's rest. Bates Roadside Inn has served weary travelers since 1960, offering small-town hospitality you won't find at those big chain hotels. Bates Roadside Inn. Vacancy available.
Breaking news tonight from Woodsboro. A mandatory curfew has been put into effect as of 6 p.m. this evening. All non-essential travel is prohibited between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. until further notice. I'm Melanie Daniels, and we're entering the third day of what authorities are now calling an active serial murder investigation. We're going live now to Sheriff John Ferguson, who's addressing the community. Sheriff Ferguson, can you explain the decision to implement this curfew?
Thank you, Melanie. As of 1800 hours today, Woodsboro is under a mandatory curfew from 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. This isn't something we do lightly, but given the events of the past 72 hours, we believe it's necessary to protect our citizens. We're taking every precaution we can. The FBI has been contacted and is sending additional resources. The state police are coordinating with us. We've requested National Guard support, and they're on standby if needed. I want to be clear about what this curfew means. If you don't have a legitimate reason to be out after 9 p.m., stay home, lock your doors. Emergency services will still operate normally. If you have a medical emergency, call 911. But social gatherings, driving around, anything that isn't absolutely necessary, it needs to wait until morning. We're pursuing multiple leads in this investigation. I can't discuss specifics, but I can tell you we're following up on every tip, every piece of evidence. The individual responsible for these crimes will be caught. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Sheriff, there are reports that Principal Arthur Hambleton didn't show up for work this morning and hasn't been seen since yesterday afternoon. Can you confirm that?
Principal Hambleton is currently considered missing. He was last seen in his office by the school custodian, and that was around 4:30 p.m. His vehicle was located in the school parking lot. We're treating this as a potential additional victim situation, and we're actively searching for him. Anyone with information about Principal Hambleton's whereabouts should contact us immediately.
Sheriff, Sidney Prescott's father, Neil Prescott, is also still missing. Are these disappearances connected?
We're looking at all possibilities. Neil Prescott left town on business 3 days ago, before any of this started. We've been unable to reach him, but that doesn't necessarily indicate foul play. However, given the circumstances, we're treating his absence as suspicious. We're working with authorities in other jurisdictions to locate him. I want to address something else. There's been speculation in the media about Cotton Weary's conviction. People are asking if we arrested the wrong man for Maureen Prescott's murder. That case was thoroughly investigated.
Cotton Worry was tried and convicted based on evidence. But I'll say this, if new evidence comes to light suggesting his innocence, we'll follow it wherever it leads. Right now, our focus is on stopping whoever's responsible for the current attacks.
Thank you, Sheriff Ferguson. Roger Thornhill is standing by in downtown Woodsboro. Roger, how is the town responding to this curfew?
Melanie, the word I keep hearing is ghost town. I'm standing on Main Street right now, and it's barely 5:30 in the afternoon, but businesses are already closing their doors. The hardware store closed at 3. The grocery store is shutting down in 30 minutes. Most restaurants aren't even bothering to open for dinner service tonight. I spoke with the manager of Woodsboro Hardware earlier today. He told me they've been completely cleaned out, no more locks, no more chains, no more security equipment of any kind. People have been panic buying flashlights, batteries, anything that makes them feel safer. One woman I spoke with bought 4 deadbolts for a 2-bedroom house. The atmosphere here is tense, Melanie. People are scared. They're looking over their shoulders. I watched a mother grab her child and run to her car because someone dropped a metal trash can lid. That's the level of fear we're dealing with. And here's something else. The national media presence has exploded. There are satellite trucks from CNN, NBC, that tabloid show, Top Story. They've set up a full production office at the Bates Motel. The reporter, I'm not going to name her, has been aggressively pursuing students, families, anyone who will talk. Local officials are furious about it.
Roger, have there been any confirmed sightings of the suspect today?
Nothing confirmed, but there have been dozens of reports. Someone thought they saw the mask near the high school this morning. Security responded, found nothing. Another report came in from a gas station on Route 9. Again, nothing. It's creating a situation where police are chasing ghosts. But here's what's concerning, Melanie. Halloween costume shops in the area report they've sold hundreds of that same ghost mask in the past week. Hundreds. Some people are buying them out of morbid curiosity. Some kids think it's funny to wear them around. But it means that even if someone sees the real killer, they might not report it because they think it's just another teenager being stupid.
That's deeply troubling, Roger. Stay safe out there. Detective Alicia Huberman released a statement earlier urging parents to keep their children home. The statement reads, quote, "Any gathering that violates curfew puts lives at risk. We cannot protect people who deliberately put themselves in danger." In other developments, phone companies have reported an unusual spike in harassing calls across Woodsboro over the past 2 days. Multiple residents have complained about receiving calls from blocked numbers, sometimes with heavy breathing or silence, sometimes with threatening messages. Police are working with telecommunications providers to trace these calls, but the sheer volume is overwhelming their resources. One particularly disturbing incident occurred last night on the local radio station WKSB. A caller claiming to be the killer called into the show after midnight with Mitch Brenner and made direct threats. The call has been turned over to authorities, and they're analyzing the voice patterns. The radio station has increased security, and host Mitch Brenner is reportedly cooperating fully with investigators. Woodsboro feels like a town under siege tonight. The curfew takes effect in just over 3 hours. Police are asking everyone to comply voluntarily. They're also reminding residents that officers will be patrolling throughout the night, and any suspicious activity should be reported immediately. For those who must travel after curfew for work, essential workers are asked to carry identification and be prepared to explain their presence to law enforcement. Medical personnel, emergency responders, and other essential workers are exempt from the curfew, but everyone else should plan to be home and secure by 9 p.m. The community vigil scheduled for tonight has been postponed until further notice. Churches throughout Woodsboro are opening their doors during daytime hours for anyone who needs a safe place to pray or seek counseling. The school district has announced that classes will remain in session tomorrow, but attendance is optional. Parents who choose to keep their children home will not face any penalties. This is a town that's never experienced anything like this. 3 days ago, Woodsboro was planning festivals, enjoying the autumn season. Tonight, we're a community living in fear, wondering when this nightmare will end. Stay inside tonight, Woodsboro. Lock your doors, keep your phones nearby, trust your neighbors, but verify strangers. And please, if you see something, say something. For Channel 7 News, I'm Melanie Daniels. Stay safe.
Halloween is just around the corner, and Haddonfield Hardware and Home is everything you need. We're stocked with decorations, costumes, candy, and all your seasonal supplies. But that's not all. Need to secure your home? We carry the best locks, security systems, and outdoor lighting in Woodsboro. Our knife selection is unmatched, perfect for kitchen upgrades or outdoor enthusiasts. Visit Haddonfield Hardware and Home on Myers Drive, open 7 days a week. We've been serving this community since 1978, and we're here to help you stay safe and prepared. Haddonfield Hardware, where home safety comes first.
You're listening to After Midnight on WKSB 103.7. This is Mitch Brenner, and I'm broadcasting tonight despite every instinct telling me to go home and hide under my bed. The curfew starts in less than 3 hours. This station has a special exemption, but honestly, I'm not sure I should be here. Last night, someone called the show, someone claiming to be the killer, and I reported it to the police. Like I said I would. They're analyzing the recording, but that doesn't change the fact that he called here. He knew what we were talking about. He was listening. Let's start with Mark calling from the West Side. Mark, you called earlier this week about horror movie patterns. You're on the air.
Mitch, I've been thinking about what I said before, about how this feels like a slasher film. And I keep coming back to one thing. In every horror movie, the killer has a motive. Always. Michael Myers wants to kill his sister. Jason's avenging his mother. Freddy's getting revenge.
So you're trying to figure out what this killer wants.
Exactly. Casey Becker and Sidney Prescott. What's the connection? Is it random, or is there a pattern? Because if there's a pattern, if there's a motive, then we can predict who's next.
The police are investigating connections. They're looking at everything.
But here's what scares me, Mitch. In the movies, the killer always gets to finish their plan before they're stopped. The body count keeps rising until the final confrontation. So how many more people have to die before this ends?
I don't know, Mark. I wish I did. Stay safe out there. Next caller.
Yeah, Mitch. I've been listening to your show for the past 3 nights, and I gotta say, I think everyone's overreacting here.
Overreacting? 2 kids are dead, Jack.
And that's tragic. I'm not saying it isn't. But you've got the whole town acting like it's the end of the world. Curfews. People buying out hardware stores. This happens everywhere, Mitch. People die every day. You're all acting like Woodsboro is special, like we're immune to violence. We're not.
So what? We should just accept it. Go about our business?
I'm saying we shouldn't panic. You know what kills more people than serial killers? Car accidents. Heart disease. But nobody's cowering in their homes over that. This is media hysteria, plain and simple. By next week, everyone will have forgotten about Casey Becker and moved on to the next tragedy.
Jack, with all due respect, someone attacked a girl in her home 2 nights ago. Someone is calling people before he kills them. This isn't media hysteria. This is real.
One copycat doesn't make a serial killer, Mitch. You're feeding into the fear. That's what your show does. You sit here every night talking about how scared everyone is, and you wonder why people are scared. You're creating a feedback loop.
I'm giving people a place to process their fear, Jack. There's a difference.
Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, you're just making it worse. People wouldn't be this terrified if you weren't.
All right, Jack. I appreciate your perspective, but I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. Stay safe out there, even if you don't think you need to. Let's take another call. Caller, you're on the air. Who am I speaking with?
Hello again, Mitch. Miss me?
Oh, God, it's you.
Did you report our last conversation to the police? I bet you did. Good little broadcaster, following the rules. I'm curious. What did they tell you? That they'd trace the call? That they'd catch me? How's that working out?
Why are you calling me?
I want to play a game. Let's talk about scary movies, Mitch. That's what you love, isn't it? Your whole show is about fear and horror and the things that go bump in the night.
I'm playing this game with you.
Oh, but you are. See, the best horror movies understand something important. Fear isn't about the monster. It's about the waiting. It's about knowing something terrible is coming and not being able to stop it. Your caller, Jack, thinks everyone's overreacting. He thinks this is all media hysteria. But you know better, don't you, Mitch? You've seen enough horror movies to know how this ends.
How does it end?
With blood. With screaming. With people who thought they were safe discovering they never were. The jock, the pretty girl, the smart one, the funny one. They all think they'll survive because they know the rules. But they don't know the most important rule of all.
What rule?
Everyone dies, Mitch. Everyone. Some just take longer than others. And tonight, Woodsboro is going to learn that lesson all over again. Your skeptic caller, Jack, will understand soon enough. This isn't hysteria. This is just the beginning.
If you touch those kids and
You what? You're a radio host, Mitch. You talk for a living. You can't stop me. The police can't stop me. Nobody can stop me. Because I'm already inside. I'm already among you. I could be anywhere. Anyone. Tell your listeners good night, Mitch. Some of them won't make it to morning.
All right. Listen to me very carefully, Woodsboro. I'm calling the police right now. I'm telling them everything he just said. That was the same voice from last night. The same person. This isn't a joke anymore. This isn't some prank caller trying to get attention. He's real. And he's planning something. I don't know what, but he's planning something. I'm ending the show early tonight. I have to call the police. Please, everyone listening, go home, lock your doors, check on your kids, make sure they're safe. Don't wait. Do it now. This is Mitch Brenner on After Midnight. God help us. Stay safe, Woodsboro. Please stay safe.
Welcome to Dark Patterns, the podcast where we explore the darkest corners of human behavior. I'm your host, Bruno Anthony, and today we're doing something we've never done before. We're covering an active case, the Woodsboro Murders. Now, normally we wait until a case is closed, until all the facts are in. But what's happening in Woodsboro right now, it's too important to ignore. 2 teenagers are dead. A third was attacked and survived. And the killer, whoever they are, is playing a very specific game. Joining me today is Professor Guy Haynes, criminal psychologist and author of The Performance of Violence. Professor, thank you for being here on such short notice.
Thanks for having me, Bruno. I've been following the Woodsboro case closely, and I have to say, this is one of the most theatrical killers I've studied in years.
Theatrical. That's an interesting word choice. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. This killer isn't just murdering people, they're staging performances. The phone calls before the attacks, the distinctive costume, the way the bodies are positioned, everything about this case suggests someone who wants an audience. This isn't about simply killing, it's about creating fear, creating spectacle, creating a narrative. Think about the phone calls. The killer engages victims in conversation. They ask questions. They discuss movies. They build tension. That's not necessary for murder. You could just break in and attack. But this person wants the victim to know what's coming. They want to savor the fear.
And that mask. Everyone's talking about that mask. What does that tell us about the killer?
The mask is fascinating from a psychological perspective. On one level, it's practical. It conceals identity. But on another level, it's transformative. When you put on a mask, you become something other than yourself. You shed your everyday identity and take on a new role. In this case, the mask itself is significant. It's a commercially available Halloween costume, not custom made, not unique. Anyone could buy one. And that's the point. The killer is saying, I could be anyone. your neighbor, your friend, the person sitting next to you on the bus. The anonymity is part of the terror.
Several people have pointed out the connection to horror films. The killer reportedly asked victims about scary movies, references film tropes. What does that suggest to you?
It suggests someone who's consumed a lot of horror media and is now trying to inhabit it. Horror films provide a template for fantasy. They show you how a killer behaves, what they say, how victims respond. For most people, that's entertainment. We watch these movies from the safety of our couch, and when they're over, we go back to our normal lives. But for certain individuals, those templates become blueprints. The line between fiction and reality blurs. They start to think, I could do that, I could be that. And what we're seeing in Woodsboro is someone who's not just inspired by horror films, they're recreating them.
Local students have been talking about something they call the rules. You know, don't have sex, don't drink, don't say I'll be right back. The standard horror movie survival rules. Do you think the killer is following those rules?
I think the killer is very aware of those rules. But here's what's interesting. The rules exist to create predictability in a chaotic situation. If you know the rules, you theoretically know how to survive. But what happens when the killer knows the rules too? What happens when they use your knowledge against you? That's what makes this case so unsettling. This isn't a random madman. This is someone who understands the psychology of fear, who understands narrative structure, who understands how people think. They're sophisticated, they're intelligent, and they're patient.
Let's talk about the victims for a moment. Casey Becker and Steve Orth were killed first. Then Sidney Prescott was attacked, but survived. Is there a pattern in victim selection?
There's absolutely a pattern, and it centers around Sidney Prescott. Casey and Steve, as tragic as their deaths are, they may have been what we call demonstrative kills. The killer was making a point, showing what they're capable of, creating fear in the community. But Sidney, she's different. She's the daughter of Maureen Prescott, who was murdered exactly 1 year ago. Cotton Weary is in prison for that crime. The timing here is not coincidental. Anniversary killings are common in certain psychological profiles. I believe Sidney is the primary target, and everything else, as horrible as it sounds, is just setting the stage.
You mentioned Cotton Weary. There's been speculation that he might be innocent, that the real killer of Maureen Prescott is still out there. Do you think that's possible?
It's more than possible if these current murders are connected to Maureen's death, and I believe they are. Then we have to seriously question Cotton Weary's conviction. Think about it logically. If the same person killed Maureen and is now targeting Sidney, then Cotton has been in prison the entire time. He couldn't have committed these new crimes. What we may be looking at is a killer who successfully framed someone else for his first murder, then waited a year, and now he's back. That requires extraordinary self-control. Most serial killers escalate quickly. But this person, if my theory is correct, they killed, they stopped, they let someone else take the blame, and they waited. That's a level of discipline that's truly frightening.
Professor, what should people in Woodsboro be doing right now?
They should be taking this seriously. The curfew is a good start. Staying in groups is important. But more than anything, people need to understand they're dealing with someone who's planned this meticulously. This killer knows the victims personally. They have to. The level of knowledge they've demonstrated about their targets, about the community, suggests someone who's embedded in Woodsboro. It's someone who appears normal, someone you wouldn't suspect. And that's the most dangerous kind of predator. My advice? Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't dismiss gut feelings as paranoia. Don't open your door for anyone you don't know. And if you receive a phone call from someone asking about scary movies, hang up immediately and call the police.
Is there anything else you think people should know?
Yes. This person thinks they're smarter than everyone else. They think they're writing a story, and everyone else is just playing their assigned roles. But here's the thing about real life versus fiction. In fiction, the killer controls the narrative. In real life, people fight back. They survive. They don't follow the script. Sidney Prescott survived because she fought back. She didn't freeze. She didn't accept her role as victim. That's what breaks the pattern. That's how you survive someone like this.
Professor Guy Haynes, thank you so much for your insights. And to everyone listening in Woodsboro, please stay safe, lock your doors, trust your instincts, and remember, this isn't a movie. This is real life. The police are working around the clock. They will catch this person. But until they do, vigilance is your best defense. This has been Dark Patterns. I'm Bruno Anthony. Stay aware, stay safe, and we'll be back with more analysis as this case develops.
Escape the ordinary at the Overlook Mountain Lodge, Colorado's premier luxury resort destination. Nestled high in the Rockies, the Overlook offers breathtaking views, world-class dining, and unparalleled service. Our historic hotel has hosted guests since 1921, providing an elegant retreat from modern life. This winter, book our exclusive Caretakers special. Stay 3 nights and get the 4th absolutely free. Perfect for writers seeking inspiration or families wanting quality time together. Enjoy our heated indoor pool, vintage cocktail lounge, and the famous Gold Room Ballroom. All rooms feature period furnishings and spectacular mountain vistas. Call 555-0237 to book your escape. The Overlook Mountain Lodge, where history and luxury meet. Some restrictions apply.
We're interrupting all programming with breaking news from Woodsboro. This is Melanie Daniels, and I'm struggling to find the words. Multiple casualties have been reported at a residence on Turner Lane following what authorities are calling a mass casualty event. At least 4 people are confirmed dead. This is the worst night in Woodsboro's history. Roger Thornhill is at the scene. Roger, what can you tell us?
Melanie, I've been a reporter for 15 years, and I've never seen anything like this. I'm about 2 blocks from the residence on Turner Lane. Police have the entire area cordoned off. There are at least 12 ambulances here, multiple fire trucks, county sheriff, state police, and FBI agents have just arrived. Bodies are being removed from the house as we speak. I can see, from where I'm standing, at least 3 body bags. Survivors are being treated for injuries. Some are in shock, some are hysterical. Melanie, these are kids. High school students who were at a party despite the curfew.
Roger, can you confirm how many victims?
Official count isn't in yet, but from what I'm hearing from sources on scene, we're looking at least 4 confirmed dead. That includes Tatum Riley, 17 years old, sister of Deputy Dewey Riley. We're also getting reports that Principal Arthur Himbleton's body was discovered earlier today on the Woodsboro High School football field. He'd been missing since yesterday. The killers apparently left him there. There's also a camera operator from one of the national news crews. His name was Kenny Jones. He was working for that tabloid show, Top Story. He was killed outside the house. They're saying he may have been documenting the scene when he was attacked. And Melanie, this is extraordinary. But Neil Prescott was found alive at the residence, Sidney's father, the man who'd been missing for days. He'd been held captive by the killers, bound and gagged. It appears they were planning to frame him for the murders to make it look like Sidney's own father was the killer, but he survived. He's been taken to the hospital and is expected to make a full recovery.
My God. Roger, do we know what happened inside that house?
From what we're piecing together from survivor accounts, there was a party. Teenagers broke curfew and gathered at this residence. The homeowner, I'm not naming them yet, their parents were out of town. Melanie, the scene inside that house, according to first responders, it's horrific. Blood everywhere. Signs of struggle in multiple rooms. This wasn't a quick attack. This went on for an extended period.
Roger, you mentioned survivors. Who survived?
Sidney Prescott is alive. She was at the party and survived. Deputy Dewey Riley, Despite losing his sister tonight, he was on scene and reportedly helped subdue the attackers. Yes, I said attackers, plural. That's what I'm hearing. Multiple suspects. There's also a student named Randy Meeks who survived, and this is unconfirmed, but there are reports that the reporter from Top Story, the woman who's been covering this story, she was also present and survived.
You said attackers, plural? Are you saying there was more than one killer?
That's what survivors are reporting. 2 suspects have been neutralized by police. I'm being told both were high school students, both are deceased. I don't have names yet, but Melanie, the implications here are staggering. If there were 2 killers working together, that explains how they could be in multiple places, how they could coordinate attacks.
Roger, stay there. We're going to go to Officer L.B. Jeffries, who's authorized to give a brief statement. Officer Jeffries, can you confirm what happened tonight?
At approximately 10:45 p.m., we received a 911 call reporting multiple injuries at a residence on Turner Lane. Officers responded immediately and found an active crime scene with multiple deceased individuals and several wounded survivors. 2 suspects were confronted at the scene. Both suspects were armed with knives. Both suspects were neutralized. I can confirm they are deceased. We are not looking for additional suspects at this time. The threat has been contained. I cannot release names of victims or suspects at this time pending family notification. But I can tell you this was a coordinated attack by 2 individuals working together. The investigation is ongoing. But we believe this concludes the series of attacks that have plagued Woodsboro over the past 3 days.
Officer, can you tell us anything about the suspects? Were they students at Woodsboro High?
I cannot confirm identities at this time. What I can say is that both suspects were known to the community. They were not outsiders. This was not a random attack by strangers. These individuals lived in Woodsboro, attended school here, had families here.
Thank you, officer. We're trying to get more information as it becomes available. What we know right now is this. At least 5 people are dead following a mass attack at a house party on Turner Lane. 2 suspects have been killed by police. Multiple survivors are being treated for injuries. The confirmed victims, and these names are being released because families have been notified, include Tatum Riley, 17, a junior at Woodsboro High, Principal Arthur Himbleton, whose body was found in the residence, and Kenny Jones, a camera operator for a national news program. Additional victims are being identified. We're hearing there may be 1 or 2 more casualties still being processed at the scene. This brings the total death toll from the past 3 days to at least 7 people, 7 lives lost, dozens more traumatized, a community shattered. Sidney Prescott is alive. She was at the party and survived. Deputy Dewey Riley, despite losing his sister tonight, he was on scene and reportedly helped subdue the attackers. Yes, I said attackers, plural. That's what I'm hearing. Multiple suspects. There's also a student named Randy Meeks who survived, and this is unconfirmed, but there are reports that the reporter from Top Story, Gail Weathers, who's been covering this story, she was also present and survived. And as I mentioned, Neil Prescott, Sidney's father, was found alive. He'd been held captive by the killers for days, but has been rescued. The curfew remains in effect. Police are asking everyone to stay in their homes while they process the scene and ensure there are no additional threats. Although authorities say the suspects have been neutralized, they're urging caution until the investigation is complete. This is, without question, the darkest night in Woodsboro's history. A town that was already reeling from violence has now experienced a massacre. The questions everyone is asking are, why? Who were these killers? What motivated them to do this? We'll have more information as it becomes available. For now, all we can do is mourn. Mourn for the victims, mourn for their families, mourn for a town that will never be the same. If you have loved ones in Woodsboro, reach out to them, check on them, make sure they're safe. And if you're in Woodsboro right now, please stay inside. Lock your doors. The police say the threat is over, but after tonight, who can blame anyone for being cautious? We'll continue our coverage throughout the night. For Channel 7 News, I'm Melanie Daniels. Woodsboro, our hearts are with you.
Are you having trouble sleeping, tossing and turning all night? Come to Elm Street Bedding Company on Springwood Avenue, where sweet dreams are guaranteed. For 30 years, we've been Woodsboro's premier mattress and bedding retailer. Right now, save up to 50% on our nightmare-free collection, featuring premium memory foam that cradles you to sleep. Our expert staff will help you find the perfect mattress, pillows, and sheets for the best rest of your life. Don't lose another night of sleep. Visit Elm Street Bedding Company today. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Remember, at Elm Street Bedding, we promise you'll never sleep better. That's Elm Street Bedding on Springwood Avenue.
I don't even know how to start tonight. This is After Midnight. I'm Mitch Brenner, and I don't know what to say. He called my show twice. He called my show. And the second time, he told me people would die. He said tonight would be the night that Woodsboro would learn a lesson. And I reported it. I called the police immediately, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't fast enough. 5 people are dead. 5 people. Maybe more. They're still processing the scene. Tatum Riley, Principal Hambleton, Kenny Jones, and others. Kids who went to a party. Kids who thought they'd be safe if they stuck together. I've been doing radio for 12 years. I've talked about a lot of dark things on this show. True crime, conspiracy theories, urban legends. But this is different. This isn't a story someone else lived through. This is our town. These are our people. And I can't shake the feeling that I could have done more. The phones are open. I don't know if anyone wants to talk tonight. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. But if you need to, I'm here. 555 WKSB. Let's go to Lisa. Lisa, you've called before. You're on the air.
My daughter is alive. She's home. She's safe. But Tatum Riley, the girl who died tonight, she was my daughter's friend. They had classes together. My daughter wanted to go out tonight, to be with friends.
Oh, God, Lisa.
She begged me. She said she needed to see her friends, that they'd be careful, that they'd stay together. And I said no. I said absolutely not. There's a curfew. There's a killer on the loose. You're staying home. And she was so angry with me, Mitch. She screamed at me, told me I was ruining her life. But if I'd let her go, if I'd given in, Mitch, she could be dead right now.
You saved her life, Lisa. You trusted your instincts and you saved her?
But Tatum didn't have someone to stop her. And now she's gone. And my daughter is upstairs crying because her friend is dead, and I don't know how to help her. How do you explain to a 17-year-old that the world is this cruel? The people she went to school with, people she knew, did this.
They're saying it was 2 students. 2 kids from Woodsboro High working together.
I know. And that's what makes it worse. It wasn't some stranger. It was people they knew. People who sat next to them in class, who ate lunch in the same cafeteria. How do you trust anyone after this?
I don't know, Lisa. I really don't know. Thank you for calling. Hold your daughter close tonight. Let's go to Mark. Mark, you've been calling the show all week. You were one of the first people to say this was following a pattern. Talk to me.
Mitch, I wish I'd been wrong. I really do. I called in talking about horror movies, about how this killer was following a script, and everyone thought I was being dramatic. But I was right, and I hate that I was right.
The police are saying it was Billy Loomis and Stuart Mocker. 2 students. Did you know them?
I knew of them. Everyone did. Billy was, I don't know, popular, I guess. Good-looking kid. Had that whole brooding thing going on. Stu was the class clown type. Always joking around, throwing parties. They seemed normal.
But that's the thing about horror movies, Mitch. The killer is never who you expect. It's never the obvious suspect. It's the boyfriend. It's the best friend. It's the person you trust. They were playing out a movie.
They were living in one, and I've been thinking about this all night. Why would 2 teenagers do this? They had families, friends, futures. What makes someone throw all that away to become a murderer? I think, and this is just speculation, but I think they wanted to be in a story. They wanted to be remembered, not as Billy and Stu, the regular kids from Woodsboro, but as something bigger, something legendary. The guys who pulled off the real-life slasher film.
That's sick.
It is. But it also makes sense in a twisted way. How many people know the names of the victims in Friday the 13th? How many people know the name of Jason Voorhees? The killers get remembered. The victims get forgotten. Maybe that's what they wanted, to be the ones who are remembered.
Well, they'll be remembered now, but not the way they imagined. They're not legends. They're cowards who murdered innocent people. Let's take another call. Norman, you work nights at the motel. How are you holding up?
Mitch, I haven't slept in 3 days. I've been jumping at shadows, checking the locks every 10 minutes, keeping a bat next to the cash register. And I kept thinking, what if he comes here? What if I'm next? But now it's over. They caught them. They're dead. And I should feel relieved, right? I should feel safe now. But I don't, Mitch. I don't feel safe at all.
Why not?
Because they were just kids. Teenagers. People I probably checked into rooms at some point. And if 2 regular kids could do this, if they could fool everyone into thinking they were normal, how do I know there aren't more? How do I know the next person who walks through that door isn't hiding the same thing?
Norman, you can't live like that. You'll drive yourself crazy.
Maybe. But Mitch, they walked among us for 3 days. They went to school. They talked to people. They acted normal. And the whole time, they were planning this. They were killing people. How do you trust anyone after that?
You start small. You trust the people closest to you, your family, your friends, and slowly you rebuild. It's not going to happen overnight, Norman. None of us are going to wake up tomorrow and feel safe, but eventually we have to try.
I hope you're right, Mitch. I really do. But right now, I don't see how this town comes back from this.
I don't either, Norman. But we have to try. Thank you for calling. All right, Woodsboro. It's 3 a.m., the darkest part of the night, and I know a lot of you are lying awake right now, replaying everything that's happened, wondering how we got here. I want to dedicate tonight's show to the victims. Casey Becker, Steve Orth, Principal Arthur Hambleton, Tatum Riley, Kenny Jones. They didn't deserve this. None of them deserve this. And to Sidney Prescott, who survived 2 attacks, who fought back when most people would have frozen, who's stronger than anyone should have to be at 17 years old. You're a survivor, Sidney, and this town owes you everything. And to your father, Neil Prescott, who endured days of captivity and lived to be reunited with his daughter. To Deputy Dewey Riley, who lost his sister tonight but still found the courage to stop the killers. To Randy Meeks and everyone else who survived that house. You lived through something no one should have to live through, and you're going to carry that with you for the rest of your lives. But you're alive, and that matters. As for me, I'm going to take some time off. I need to figure out what kind of show this is now. Whether it's still the same show it was before all this started, whether I can still talk about horror movies and true crime without seeing the faces of people I knew. I don't have those answers yet, but I'll be back. Eventually, I'll be back, because this town needs voices. It needs people willing to talk about the hard things, the scary things, the things we'd rather pretend don't exist. And I'm not going to let fear silence me. Not after everything we've been through. This is Mitch Brenner, signing off from After Midnight. Stay safe, Woodsboro. Stay together. And remember, we survived. That's what matters. We survived. Good night.
Shop smart, shop S-Mart. Your one-stop shopping destination just opened in Woodsboro. We've got everything you need under one roof, from sporting goods to housewares, hardware to automotive supplies. This weekend, save big on our grand opening specials. Camping gear is 40% off, power tools are buy one, get one half price, and our entire gardening section is marked down. Need help? Our friendly staff, including veteran department manager Ash, are ready to assist. We're open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Sundays 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S-Mart on Highway 12, where shopping is groovy. Come get some great deals.
We're going live now to Mayor Marion Crane, who's addressing the community following last night's tragedy. Mayor Crane called this emergency session at 7 a.m., just hours after the massacre on Turner Lane. Let's listen.
Good morning, Woodsboro. Though I wish I could say those words under different circumstances. I wish I could stand here and talk about ordinary things, about budget allocations or road repairs or the upcoming winter festival. But I can't, because this morning, our town is in mourning. Last night, we lost 5 of our own. Casey Becker, Steve Orth, Principal Arthur Hambleton, Tatum Riley, Kenny Jones. 5 lives cut short by violence. 5 families shattered. Dozens more traumatized by what they witnessed. These were our children, our neighbors, our teachers, our friends. Casey babysat for families on Oak Street. Steve was a volunteer at the food bank. Principal Hambleton dedicated 30 years to educating our young people. Tatum was the little sister of one of our finest deputies. Kenny was a father of 2 who was simply doing his job. They had dreams. They had plans. They had futures that stretched out before them, full of possibility. And all of that was stolen from them in a single night of senseless brutality. I want to address what we know. The individuals responsible for these murders have been identified as Billy Loomis and Stuart Mocker, both 18 years old, both students at Woodsboro High School. Both were killed at the scene by Sidney Prescott and Gail Weathers. I want to be clear about something. These young men, Billy and Stu, they were not victims. They were not troubled souls who needed help. They were killers. They planned these murders. They executed them with deliberation and malice, and they showed no mercy to their victims. I know there will be people who want to understand why, who want to find some explanation, some reason that makes sense of this. Parents will ask themselves if they missed something. Teachers will wonder if there were signs. Friends will replay conversations, looking for clues they should have seen. But I'm going to tell you something that's hard to hear. Sometimes there is no why that makes sense. Sometimes evil doesn't have a satisfying explanation. Sometimes people make choices that defy understanding. And we have to accept that we may never fully comprehend what drove these 2 individuals to do what they did. I've heard people say, and I'm sure you've heard it too, that Billy and Stu were inspired by horror movies, that they watched too many scary films and it warped their minds. And I want to address that directly. Millions of people watch horror movies. Millions of people enjoy being scared in the safety of a theater or their living room. And they don't become killers. They go home. They go to work. They live normal lives. Billy Loomis and Stuart Mocker didn't kill because of movies. They killed because they chose to, because something inside them was broken in a way that had nothing to do with what they watched on a screen. I'm not going to let this town turn into some kind of moral panic about entertainment. We've got real problems to deal with, real grief to process, and blaming fictional stories for the actions of 2 deeply disturbed individuals. That's not going to bring anyone back. It's not going to help us heal. Schools will remain closed through the end of this week. When they reopen, there will be grief counselors available on every campus. Mental health professionals are being brought in from surrounding counties. The community center will serve as a crisis support hub, open 24 hours a day for anyone who needs help. The curfew will be extended for another 72 hours, but it will be modified. The hours will shift to 11 p.m. through 5 a.m., giving people more time to move about during evening hours. We're not doing this because there's continued danger. The suspects are dead. We're doing this because our police force has been working without rest for 3 days, and they need time to recover. They need time to grieve for Deputy Riley's sister, to process what they've witnessed, to be human beings instead of just officers. I want to acknowledge the fear that many of you are feeling. For 3 days, we lived in terror. We didn't know who was safe and who wasn't. We didn't know if the person next to us in line at the grocery store was the killer. And now we know. It was 2 people we trusted. 2 young men who grew up here, who attended our schools, who smiled at us on the street. That knowledge, that betrayal, it cuts deep. And I won't stand here and tell you to get over it. I won't tell you to just move on, because what happened here It's going to change us. Woodsboro will never be exactly what it was before. But I will tell you this. Billy Loomis and Stuart Mocker wanted fear. They wanted us to turn on each other. They wanted us to suspect our neighbors, to isolate ourselves, to live in permanent terror. And we will not give them that victory. We will not let them define us, even in death. This town has survived hard times before. We survived the fire of 1947 that destroyed half of Main Street. We survived the floods of 1963. We've buried neighbors before. We've mourned together before. And every single time, Woodsboro has come back, not unchanged, but stronger, more connected, more determined to look out for one another. That's what we're going to do now. We're going to mourn. We're going to grieve. We're going to be angry and confused and heartbroken. And all of that is okay. All of that is necessary. But we're also going to come together. We're going to check on our neighbors. We're going to support the families who lost loved ones. We're going to show up for each other in ways big and small, because that's what Woodsboro does. That's who we are. A memorial service will be held on Sunday at 2 p.m. in Riverside Park. All the victims will be honored. Families have asked that in lieu of flowers, donations be made to the Woodsboro Youth Crisis Center, which will be established to provide ongoing support for young people dealing with trauma. If you want to help, if you want to do something, that's where your resources should go. I want to personally thank Sidney Prescott. That young woman has shown more courage in the past 3 days than most of us will show in a lifetime. She survived 2 attacks. She fought back. She refused to be a victim. And last night, when she could have run, when she could have saved only herself, she stayed. She helped others survive. She's a hero, plain and simple. I also want to thank Deputy Dewey Riley. Dewey lost his sister last night, and in the midst of his own grief, he put on his badge and he did his job. He helped stop the killers. He saved lives. That's the kind of dedication, the kind of selflessness that makes me proud to call Woodsboro home. And finally, I want to thank every single person in this town who locked their doors when we asked, who reported suspicious activity, who looked out for their neighbors, who followed the curfew, who kept their children home, who made the hard choices that kept people safe. You saved lives, every single one of you who took this seriously. You saved lives. This is not the end of Woodsboro's story. This is a chapter, a dark chapter, but it's not the whole book. We will heal. We will rebuild. We will remember our dead, honor their memories, and carry them with us as we move forward. God bless Casey Becker. God bless Steve Orth. God bless Arthur Hambleton. God bless Tatum Riley. God bless Kenny Jones. God bless the survivors. God bless the first responders. God bless this town. And God help us find our way forward together. Thank you. And may we never forget.
Derry Community Theatre proudly presents our spring production, opening next Friday. We're bringing laughter and entertainment to families across Woodsboro with our children's variety show featuring local young talent. Enjoy magic acts, comedy sketches, and colorful performances that'll have everyone smiling. Shows run Friday and Saturday nights at 7 p.m., with special matinees on Sundays at 2 p.m. Tickets are just $8 for adults, $5 for children, 12 and under. We're located in the historic Derry building downtown, with plenty of street parking available. The theater has served our community since 1957, and we float along thanks to your support. Derry Community Theatre, where dreams take center stage.
Good evening, Woodsboro. I'm Melanie Daniels, and it's been 4 days since the massacre on Turner Lane, 4 days since we lost 5 members of our community. Tonight, we're not here to report on violence or fear. We're here to report on healing, on a town that's beginning, slowly, to find its way forward. The curfew was lifted this morning at 6 a.m. For the first time in nearly a week, residents are free to move about without restriction. Schools reopened today with optional attendance, and the national media, for the most part, has finally left town. Roger Thornhill is standing by at Riverside Park, where the community memorial service took place this afternoon. Roger, how was the turnout?
Melanie, it was extraordinary. Thousands of people gathered here, not just from Woodsboro, but from neighboring towns, from across the state. I saw license plates from as far away as San Francisco and Los Angeles. People traveled hours to be here, to pay their respects, to show solidarity with this community. The service lasted nearly 3 hours. Each victim was honored individually, family members spoke, friends shared memories. There was music, prayer, moments of silence. And Melanie, I have to tell you, there wasn't a dry eye in the park. Casey Becker's mother spoke about her daughter's love of classic films, how she wanted to study cinema in college. Steve Orth's father talked about his son's volunteer work at the food bank, how he always wanted to help people. Deputy Dewey Riley, standing with his arm in a sling from his injuries, spoke about his sister Tatum, her sense of humor, her fierce loyalty to her friends, how she lit up every room she entered. Principal Hambleton's wife and children were here. They thanked the community for 30 years of support, for letting Arthur dedicate his life to educating young people. Kenny Jones's family traveled from Ohio. His 2 children, both under 10 years old, released balloons in his memory. And Neil Prescott was there, standing quietly in the back with Sidney's aunt. After days of captivity, he was there to honor those who didn't survive.
Roger, was Sidney Prescott at the service?
She was not, Melanie. And that's understandable. Sidney has asked for privacy while she recovers, both physically and emotionally. Her location is being kept confidential at her request, but a statement was read on her behalf, expressing her grief for the victims and her gratitude to the community for its support. Sidney's statement also addressed the rumors that have been circulating. She said, and I'm quoting here, "Billy Loomis was my boyfriend. I trusted him. I never knew what he was capable of. And I will spend the rest of my life asking myself if there were signs I missed." It was a powerful moment, Melanie. A reminder that Sidney is processing not just the trauma of being attacked, but the betrayal of someone she cared about.
Thank you, Roger. We're going now to Detective Alicia Huberman, who's prepared to give a final update on the investigation. Detective, what can you tell us?
Thank you. The investigation into the murders of Casey Becker, Steve Orth, Arthur Hambleton, Tatum Riley, and Kenny Jones has been officially closed. We've confirmed that Billy Loomis and Stuart Mocker were responsible for all 5 deaths, as well as the attacks on Sidney Prescott. Through evidence recovered from the crime scene and subsequent investigation, we've been able to piece together their motive. This was an act of revenge connected to the murder of Maureen Prescott 1 year ago. Billy Loomis harbored a deep grudge related to that case, and Stuart Mocker was his willing accomplice. They planned these murders over several months, coordinating their attacks to create maximum fear in the community. Part of their plan involved framing Sidney's father, Neil Prescott. They abducted him days before the party, held him captive, and planned to use him as a scapegoat. The intent was to murder Sidney and make it appear Neil was the killer. Fortunately, he was rescued alive and is recovering. I want to address the Cotton Wary situation directly. Based on new evidence that has come to light during this investigation, we now have significant doubts about Mr. Wary's conviction in the Maureen Prescott case. His attorneys have been contacted, and a formal review of his case is underway. It appears that Cotton Wary may have been wrongfully convicted, and that the real killer of Maureen Prescott was Billy Loomis. This is a difficult admission for law enforcement to make. We believed we had the right person, we believed justice had been served, but evidence now suggests we were wrong, and an innocent man has spent 8 months in prison because of that error. We owe Cotton Wary an apology, we owe his family an apology, and we owe the Prescott family the truth, even though that truth is painful.
Detective, what happens now with Cotton Wary's case?
The district attorney's office is working with his legal team to expedite his release. Given the circumstances, we expect him to be freed within the next few weeks pending formal proceedings. He will likely be offered a settlement for wrongful imprisonment, but no amount of money can give him back the time he lost or repair the damage to his reputation. This case has exposed serious flaws in our investigation procedures. We relied too heavily on circumstantial evidence. We didn't question our assumptions. And because of that, a killer remained free for a year and went on to murder 5 more people. That's on us, that's on me, and it's something I'll carry with me for the rest of my career.
Thank you for your candor, Detective. We're also joined by Sheriff John Ferguson, who has an announcement. Sheriff?
Thank you, Melanie. After 32 years in law enforcement, 20 of them as Sheriff of Woodsboro, I've decided to retire effective the end of this month. This decision isn't about running from responsibility. It's about recognizing that this community needs fresh leadership, needs someone who can help it heal without the burden of past mistakes. The Cotton Weary case happened on my watch. The failures that allowed Billy Loomis and Stuart Mocker to operate undetected happened on my watch. And while I'm proud of how my deputies responded during this crisis, I believe Woodsboro deserves a new beginning, a new sheriff who can rebuild trust.
Thank you, Sheriff Ferguson. In other news, Woodsboro High School held classes today for the first time since the massacre. Attendance was approximately 60%, with many families choosing to keep their children home for additional time. The school has brought in a dozen crisis counselors, and they'll remain on campus indefinitely. Principal Himmelton's position will be filled temporarily by Assistant Principal Victoria Bates, who has been with the district for 18 years. A permanent replacement will be selected after the school year ends. The house on Turner Lane, where the massacre occurred, has been purchased by the city and will be demolished. The property will be converted into a memorial garden honoring all 7 victims of the Woodsboro murders. Construction is expected to begin in the spring. In a controversial development, that tabloid news program, Top Story, has announced plans for a special episode about the Woodsboro murders. Gail Weathers, who covered the case and who was present during the massacre, has signed a book deal. The book is expected to be published next year. Local officials and many residents have expressed anger at what they view as exploitation of the tragedy. Mayor Marion Crane released a statement calling the book deal, quote, disrespectful to the victims and their families. But not everyone views the media attention negatively. Some residents believe telling the story could help prevent similar tragedies elsewhere. It's a debate that will likely continue for months to come. As for me, I want to take a moment to reflect on the past week. When I began this broadcast 4 days ago, I was reporting on a quiet evening in a peaceful town. I talked about football games and fall festivals. I made a joke about watching scary movies, and within hours, everything changed. I've been a journalist for 20 years. I've covered natural disasters, political scandals, economic crises, but I've never covered anything like this. Never had to report on the deaths of people I knew personally. Never had to watch a community I loved tear itself apart with fear and suspicion. But I've also never seen a community come together the way Woodsboro has. I've seen neighbors checking on neighbors, strangers offering help to people they've never met. I've seen courage in the face of terror, hope in the midst of despair, and resilience that defies imagination. Woodsboro is changed. We all know that. We'll never be the town we were before Casey Becker died. We'll carry these scars forever, but we're still here. We survived, and we'll continue to survive together. To the families who lost loved ones, our hearts remain with you. To the survivors still processing trauma, know that support is available and you don't have to face this alone. And to everyone who called this town home before last week, who still calls it home today, thank you. Thank you for your strength, your compassion, your refusal to let fear win. This is Melanie Daniels, Channel 7 News. Good night, Woodsboro. And tomorrow, we begin again.
Your dream home awaits at Cuesta Verde Estates. We're Woodsboro's newest planned community, featuring beautiful single-family homes starting in the low 200s. Every home includes modern kitchens, spacious yards, and access to our community pool and playground. Our family-friendly neighborhood is perfect for growing families, with top-rated schools nearby and parks throughout. This weekend only. Tour our model homes and enter to win a big-screen television. Plus, we're offering special financing with zero down for qualified buyers. Visit our sales office on Cuesta Verde Way, open daily from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Cuesta Verde Estates, where families grow and memories are made. They're here. Your new neighbors are waiting.
after midnight, WKSB 103.7. This is Mitch Brenner, and I'm back. I said I needed time to figure out what this show is now, to figure out if I could still do this. And the truth is, I'm still figuring it out. But I realized something over the past few days. Silence isn't the answer. Grief needs a voice, fear needs a voice, and healing needs a voice too. So I'm back, not because I have all the answers, not because I've processed everything that happened, but because this town needs a place to talk, to share, to remember, and maybe, just maybe, to start moving forward. I want to talk about something tonight, about horror, about the movies I've loved my whole life, the stories I've told on this show for years. A killer called me twice. Both times, he referenced scary movies. He asked if I liked them, and the truth is, I do. I always have. But I've been asking myself, what does that mean now? Billy Loomis and Stuart Mocker loved horror movies too. They loved them so much they wanted to live inside one. They wanted to be the killers from the films they'd watched, and they succeeded. They turned Woodsboro into their own personal slasher film, and 5 people died because of it. So, do I still love horror movies? Yeah, I do. But I watch them differently now. I see them differently. They're not just entertainment anymore. They're not just thrills and jump scares. They're reminders. Reminders that evil exists. That violence is real. That death doesn't care about your age or your dreams or your potential. But they're also reminders of something else. That people fight back. That final girls exist. That survivors are real. Sidney Prescott is a final girl. She fought back twice. And she's alive because she refused to accept the role they tried to give her. That's what I'm taking from this now. Horror movies teach us that monsters are real, but they also teach us that we can survive them, that we're stronger than we think, that we can write our own endings. Tonight, I have a caller on the line who requested to speak on the show. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure if I should take this call, but I believe in giving people a voice, especially when it's uncomfortable. On the line is Nancy Loomis, Billy Loomis's mother. Nancy, you're on After Midnight.
Thank you for taking my call, Mitch. I know this town hates me right now. I know what they're saying. That I raised a monster, that it's my fault, that I should be ashamed to show my face. But nobody, and I mean nobody, is asking why my son did what he did.
Nancy, with all due respect, we know why. The police released their findings. Billy was angry about your marriage falling apart, about your husband's affair with Maureen Prescott.
You say that like it's simple. Like my son just woke up one day and decided to become a killer because his daddy cheated. Do you have any idea what that woman did to my family? Maureen Prescott wasn't some innocent victim. She was a homewrecker. She seduced my husband. She destroyed my marriage, drove me out of town, and left my son without a mother for 2 years.
Nancy, a lot of families go through divorce. A lot of kids deal with infidelity. They don't become serial killers.
Don't you dare minimize what we went through. My husband abandoned us. He chose her. And then when it all fell apart, when she got bored with him and moved on, he came crawling back like nothing happened. Billy was 13 years old when I left. 13. Do you know what that does to a child? To watch his mother pack her bags and leave because she can't stand to look at his father anymore.
So you're saying Maureen Prescott deserved to die? That Billy was justified?
I'm saying my son was in pain? Real pain? The kind that doesn't just go away because time passes? And everyone in this town wants to act like he's some kind of monster, like he wasn't human, like he didn't have reasons for what he did. Well, he had reasons. Maybe you don't like them. Maybe they're not good enough for you, but they were real to him.
Nancy, Billy killed 5 innocent people. Casey Becker was 17 years old. She babysat for half the families in this town. What did she do to deserve being gutted in her front yard?
Look, I'm not saying she deserved it, but my son, Billy, he got caught up in something. Stuart Mocker, her. That boy was always trouble. Always pushing Billy, always egging him on. If it wasn't for Stu...
Oh, so now it's Stu's fault? Nancy, come on. Billy was the mastermind. He planned this for months. He manipulated everyone around him. He dated Sidney Prescott, Maureen's daughter, just so he could get close enough to destroy her. He tried to kill her, twice.
Because she reminded him of everything he'd lost. Don't you understand? Every time Billy looked at Sidney, he saw her mother, the woman who ruined his life. He was tortured by it, haunted by it. And yes, he made terrible choices. He did unforgivable things. But he was my son, my baby boy. And now he's dead, and this entire town is celebrating.
Nobody's celebrating, Nancy. People are grieving. They're traumatized. They're trying to figure out how to feel safe again.
And what about me? Don't I get to grieve? Don't I get to mourn my son? I lost my husband to another woman. I lost 2 years with my child. And now I've lost Billy forever. But nobody cares about that, do they? Because he's the villain. Well, let me tell you something, Mitch. Villains are made, not born. In this town, Maureen Prescott, my ex-husband, they all had a hand in making him. And Sidney Prescott and that reporter, Gail Weathers, they murdered my son. They killed him. But everyone calls them heroes.
Nancy, I hear your pain. I do. Losing a child, regardless of what they've done, that's a grief I can't imagine. But you can't blame everyone else for Billy's choices. You can't blame Maureen Prescott, who's been dead for a year. You can't blame this town. Billy made his own decisions. And those decisions cost 5 people their lives.
You think I don't know that? You think I don't wake up every morning and think about those families? About what Billy did? I'll carry that guilt for the rest of my life, Mitch, every single day. But I also know that my son was hurting, that he needed help, that nobody saw the signs, nobody cared enough to ask if he was okay.
Nancy, with respect, lots of people are hurting, lots of people need help, and they don't pick up a knife and start killing their classmates. At some point, we have to hold people accountable for their actions, even when we love them, especially when we love them.
So what, I'm just supposed to forget he was my son? Pretend he never existed? Act like those 18 years meant nothing?
No. You're supposed to grieve him. You're supposed to remember the good parts, if there were good parts. But you're also supposed to acknowledge what he did, the harm he caused, the lives he destroyed. You can love your son and still admit he did something monstrous. Those two things can exist at the same time.
This town will never let me do that. They'll never let me mourn. They'll never let me remember him as anything but a killer. I'm already getting phone calls, threats. Everyone wants to forget Billy existed. Or worse, they want to remember him only as a monster, never as my son.
Nancy, I'm going to say something, and I need you to really hear me. Billy was a person. He was your son, but he was also a killer. And the person he was doesn't erase what he did. You're going to have to find a way to live with both of those truths. The people of Woodsboro, the families who lost loved ones, they're going to have to find a way to live with their grief too. And those are parallel journeys, not the same one.
I loved my son, Mitch.
I believe you. All right, that was Nancy Loomis, Billy's mother. And I don't know what to say after that. Part of me feels for her. She lost her son, but another part of me, a bigger part, can't forget what Billy did. Can't forget the people who died because of his pain. And maybe that's the lesson here. Pain doesn't justify violence. Hurt doesn't excuse murder. We all carry wounds. We all have reasons to be angry. But we don't get to take that out on innocent people. We don't get to make the world bleed because we're bleeding. Billy Loomis had choices, and he made the wrong ones every single time. And now 5 people are dead, and his mother's left trying to reconcile the boy she raised with the killer he became. I don't envy her that, I really don't. But I also don't think sympathy for the killer's family should ever outweigh justice for the victims. And I really hope that wherever Nancy Loomis ends up, she finds a way to make peace with what her son did. Because Woodsboro can't do that for her. This town has its own grief to process. All right, Woodsboro. It's almost 4 a.m. The darkest part of the night is behind us. Dawn's coming soon, and I think that's appropriate. Don't you? I want to close tonight by talking about Sidney Prescott one more time. That young woman has been through more in the past week than most people face in a lifetime. She was targeted twice. She discovered her boyfriend was a killer, she watched people she cared about die, and she fought back, twice. She refused to be a victim. She refused to play the role they assigned her. Sidney wrote her own ending, and that's what we all have to do now. Billy and Stu tried to write Woodsboro's story. They tried to make us the setting for their sick fantasy, but we get to write the next chapter. We decide what happens next. We decide whether we let fear define us or whether we rise above it. I'm choosing to rise. I'm choosing to keep doing the show, to keep talking about the hard things, to keep giving this community a voice. I'm choosing to still love horror movies while understanding what they really mean. I'm choosing to believe that Woodsboro's best days are still ahead of us, even though we'll never forget the worst ones. And I hope you'll choose that too. Choose to live, choose to connect with others, choose to honor the people we lost by refusing to let their deaths define everything that comes after. Choose hope, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. This has been After Midnight. I'm Mitch Brenner, and I'll be back tomorrow night. Same time, same station, because Woodsboro needs a voice, and I'm honored to be one of them. Stay safe out there, Woodsboro. Stay strong, stay together. And remember, the sun always rises, even after the darkest night. Good night.
Join us next time as we witness the next chapter in our species' fight for survival. The end times are far from over. Until then, here is a preview of our next broadcast.
This is, Captain Barry Kane, United States Coast Guard. Service number 774923. I'm making this statement voluntarily regarding the incident involving the Cassandra on the evening of October 14th. I'm not sure I should be doing this, but people need to know what I saw. We received the Cassandra's distress call at approximately 1845 hours. We were on routine patrol about 8 miles out when we got the call. Ship reported containment failure, requesting immediate assistance. That's not standard language for a mechanical problem, you know? Containment failure is what you say when something's gotten loose. So I brought the cutter in, fast as we could. We were maybe 2 minutes from docking when Black Mesa security hailed us and told us to stand down. They told the Coast Guard to stand down. Said they had it under control. Said they didn't need our assistance. But I was close enough to see the ship. I was close enough to see what was happening on that deck. And I'm telling you, they did not have it under control. I saw people on the deck. But something was wrong with them. They were moving, wrong, jerky, uncoordinated. I had binoculars. I could see maybe 5 or 6 figures. At first I thought they were crew members who were injured, the way they were stumbling around. But then I saw the dock workers trying to contain them. And that's when I realized these weren't injured crew. These were, I don't know what they were, but they were attacking. I watched one of these figures lunge at a dock worker. The dock worker went down, and the figure that was on top of him, I couldn't hear anything from that distance, but I could see the struggle. The other dock workers trying to pull the attacker off. And when they finally got it away from him, when I focused my binoculars on the injured worker, I could see blood, a lot of blood, on his neck, his shoulder, and the way he was moving afterward, clutching at his wounds, the panic. He knew something was very wrong. I don't know what those things were, but they weren't normal people. The way they moved, the way they attacked, and the dock workers, the facility security, they were terrified. I could see it even from 200 yards out. The way they backed away, the way they drew weapons. These were trained professionals, and they were scared. Some of them were running, just running away from the ship. Then we got the order. Stand down. No further approach. Treat the area as a biological hazard zone. That's when I knew something was very, very wrong. Because that's not the procedure for a mechanical failure. That's the procedure for a pathogen release. That's the procedure for a viral outbreak. The order came through federal channels. I can't say more than that, but it was high enough up that I couldn't question it. We backed off. We maintained perimeter. We watched Black Mesa security swarm the ship with hazmat teams and containment equipment. And then, about an hour later, they declared the situation resolved. But I was watching that ship the whole time. I saw what they were doing. They weren't fixing equipment, they were hunting something. They were sweeping that cargo hold like they were clearing a building, room by room, container by container, looking for something that got out. Did they find them all? I don't know. They said they did. They said everything was secured. But I watched that ship for 3 hours, and I saw them bring bodies off, wrapped in plastic. At least 3, maybe 4. Could have been the attackers, could have been crew members. I don't know, but I know what I saw. People, or things that used to be people, attacking dock workers. And one of those workers got bitten, bad. I tried to file an official report. I was told to limit my observations to factual maritime safety issues. I was told not to speculate about matters outside my jurisdiction. I was told that federal authorities were handling the investigation, and my report would be incorporated into their findings. Translation: shut up and forget what you saw. But I'm not forgetting, because I've been a Coast Guard officer for 17 years. I've responded to fires, collisions, sinkings, every kind of maritime emergency you can imagine. And I've never seen a response like this. I've never seen federal authorities order the Coast Guard to stand down from an active distress call. I've never seen a minor equipment failure treated like a biological weapons incident. And I've never, in all my years at sea, seen people move like those things on that deck, or seen trained security personnel look that terrified. I got a call about an hour before making this statement. Lawyer said I was potentially compromising an ongoing federal investigation. Said I should carefully consider the consequences of making unfounded allegations. That's why I'm making this statement. Because when they start threatening you, when they start trying to silence you, that means you saw something they don't want you to talk about. And after Badger Creek, after what we all watched happen there, I'm not going to be complicit in another cover-up. People need to know what happened on that ship. People need to know that whatever Black Mesa brought to Ironhold Island, it wasn't medical equipment. It was people, or things that used to be people, things that attack, things that bite, and at least some of them got loose before they could be contained. This is Captain Barry Kane. End of statement.